Enterprise. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday break and a great first week back in school. I'm Kelly, the district nurse. I wanted to take a few minutes of your time and explain the new health guidance that was released by the California Department of Public Health. I am acutely aware of how tired we all are of COVID protocols, and I'm incredibly hopeful that this news will bring you some encouragement and refreshed energy to continue fighting this public health crisis. The goal of Enterprise Elementary School District is and always has been safe, in-person learning for all of our students. This new guidance makes that goal even easier to accomplish. In order to safely implement this new strategy, though, we need your help. So let's dive into the guidance and I'll explain how. On January 12th, CDPH released guidance called the Group Tracing Approach, and that eliminates the need for specific contact tracing and quarantining. Instead, students who have been exposed to a person who is positive for COVID-19 can continue to attend school and participate in extracurricular activities with the understanding that they will monitor for symptoms and test for COVID within 3 days from exposure. We've tried making accessing a COVID test as easy and convenient as possible for you. There's 4 ways that you can test your child for COVID. The first way is you can sign up to have your child tested while they are at school. The very first time you do this, there's 2 steps. Step number 1 is you need to register your child with Primary Health. You've received a link in an email to do this. Primary Health is the platform that we use to report the test results. So as soon as your child is tested and the results come back, you will get a text message or an email with your student's results. So once you register your child with Primary Health, you don't need to do this step again. Step 2 is you need to notify your child's school that you would like to have them tested for COVID. As a reminder, we will never test your child without your request and your approval. So you can request a test digitally, again through the link in your email, or you can just pick up the phone and call the school and request that your child be tested while they're there during the school day. An added bonus of this platform is that we can also use this testing strategy for students who were not exposed but perhaps not feeling well. So for example, if your child is at school, they go up to the health office, they say, oh, I have a headache. We can request to test the student. If the test is negative, then the student can return to class. So this will be a great additional way to keep your student in class and avoid unnecessary quarantine. So that's the first option. The second option to get a COVID test within our district is we have a COVID testing clinic open at Mistletoe Elementary School. It's open 5 days a week from 8:30 to 12:30. It's the same platform, Primary Health. You don't need to make an appointment. Once they're registered in primary, you can just show up and our staff there will test your student. That's the second option. The third option is you can use some of the at-home testing kits. We've tried to make as many of those available to you as possible, so you can pick those up from your school site or from the district office while we have enough supplies. Additionally, they're available for free at the Reading Library or Shasta College. We're really hoping that we continue to receive those every week so that we don't run out of testing supplies. Finally, you could utilize a local lab to get your child tested there if you want. So just take them to a lab of your choice and then report the results to your child's school. So our hope is that all these testing opportunities make it easy and convenient for you to partner with us in our efforts to keep our school doors open and our community safe. There's a few final details that I would like to touch on that are very important. If your child develops any COVID-like symptoms at all following an exposure, even if it's something typical to them like a headache, they do have to stay home. But once their symptoms have resolved and their test stays negative, they can return to school. The reason we're able to implement this new strategy is because after more than a year of studying in-person learning during the pandemic, researchers have found that classroom-based learning is really not the main source of transmission. So with all the layers of protection we have in place, like masking and testing, our children are safe in the classroom and we want to keep them there as much as possible. We know that transmission is much more likely to occur outside of school. So if your child is exposed to someone with COVID in the home or somewhere other than the school environment, they will need to complete a 5-day quarantine at home and then can return with a negative test and no symptoms after that. We will help you determine what dates the child needs to quarantine and when they can return to school. The last thing I want to touch on has to do with sports and extracurricular activities. So if your child is identified as being exposed to someone with COVID and they are involved in sports or school activities, they must participate in daily testing for up to 5 days after their exposure. Again, the at-home kits work for this. So if your child does not develop any COVID-like symptoms and their daily test remains negative, they can keep coming and participating in their sports or activities the rest of the week. So please utilize all the testing opportunities that I described earlier to make that easy for you. Okay, so with all this extra testing, what do you do if your child tests positive? Of course, please notify the school right away so we can make sure we do the proper notifications. And that your child will need to stay home for 5 days. And then at that point, we would look at symptoms and test results and might be able to get them back sooner than the 10 days that they used to have to stay home. So I understand this is probably a lot to digest, and I'm here to answer any questions you have. I'd be happy to talk to you about it and explain it more. Please just reach out to me. You can find me on my cell phone or email. And we just really hope that you will partner with us to keep our community safe and our students learning in the classroom. Have a wonderful week.